guys, so today I'm going to tell the story about how I broke my neck. It happened 5 years ago. I'm not going to get into the hospital and recovery, that whole part. I'll do that in a separate video. Today I'm just going to talk about the accident. So it happened almost 5 years ago. I was 27. I had a business. I still have a business. I had 2 kids. They were 3 and 9, and I'm married. My husband is in the military. So military wife, mom of 2, business owner, and I break my neck. It happened when I was on my horse. I had bought an off-the-track thoroughbred thinking, you know, I could save this horse and we would have this magical bond, and for the most part we did. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm the first to admit that. And I think that my accident was pretty preventable. I still have horses. I have a farm. I would also like to say that breaking your neck and being a quadriplegic does not mean that you are like Christopher Reeve. It means that all 4 of your limbs are affected, including like your trunk, your core. So I do use a wheelchair. I can walk a little. I can move my arms, but this hand is better than this hand. This hand sort of stays pretty together, but I'm functional. Like I can tie shoelaces and stuff. When I first got injured, I couldn't move anything, so I'll make a video showing that progress. It was very dramatic. I had this off-the-track thoroughbred. She was chestnut mare, and when I got her, she had been starving and severely neglected. She was very skinny. I'll post a before picture when I got her, and very calm. She was a sweet girl, and I bought her as a safe trail horse, and I had told the woman I bought her off, I need something that's safe. I need something that I'm not going to get hurt because I have children and I'm too old to be, you know, on these hot horses. I get her in training. We get her on a great farrier program. She had horrible feet. She put on about 400 pounds, and that 400 pounds was solid muscle. So when you have an athletic horse that's feeling better, that's when her real potential came out. She would have been a fantastic like jumper horse for like a really competitive rider. I just wanted to play and like show sometimes. I had started to feel uneasy about Vino. She would bolt. It was really hard to get her to slow down. I had her in again, training. I was trying to do everything right. I wasn't just doing this by myself. I had professionals. And you know, I was afraid of her, and that was my first mistake. You should trust your instincts, and if you don't feel like you're safe on your horse, then you shouldn't be on her. It is how it is. It's my fault. So her and I go out on a trail ride with a friend, and it was in wintertime. It was November 30th, the day before my birthday, and it was really cold, and her and I both knew that we shouldn't have been on that ride, but we kept procrastinating and bailing on each other, and we're like, we're here, let's just go. We go on the trail ride, and there's this part of the trail that goes up like a mountain, and Vino, it was a great workout for the horses, so Vino would run up this part, and then when we get to the top, she'd stop, and she'd always be first on the trail rides. Vino and I were first. We'd run up this hill, great butt workout for the horses, and then stop at the top. So it was cold, and I was like, we should not be running up this hill, and she's so strong and has all these instincts. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold her back. So my friend goes in front of us because she had more control of her horse. She goes in front of us, and Vino loses her mind, and she's right on my friend's horse's butt, and she's breathing, and I'm trying to hold her back, and then she just bolted up the hill. So I knew that I couldn't stop her. We passed my friend. I knew I couldn't stop her, and I thought, okay, I'm just gonna hold on and pray to God that she does what she always does and stops at the top of this trail. It's a big workout, so usually they're tired when they get to the top. So we get to the top, and she doesn't stop. She just keeps running. So now we're running on pavement back to the barn. I started to get control of her and hold her back. And next thing I know, we're kind of in like a little bit of a canter, like a, you know, when they get excited and their canter becomes very like prancy. So we were doing like a prancy canter. Next thing I know, she's bolting. She's gone. And I look beside me and my friend's horse is beside us riderless. I don't blame my friend. I blame myself, and it wasn't her fault, but she had jumped off. She landed on her feet and then ran forward and fell. She had pretty bad injuries. Because again, like it was just unsafe, and what is she gonna do? So she jumps off, lands on her feet, falls on her face, and her horse is riderless beside my off the track thoroughbred. So what is she gonna do? She's not gonna stop. And there's this part of the road that goes straight down. It goes down and curves, and it's cold. I know that if we go down this hill together, I'm dead. Like she's gonna bail, I'm gonna bail on or under her, and then she's gonna be scrambling to get up, and I will be dead. I decide I'm gonna emergency dismount. So we come to this part that's straight. I threw my leg over to the left, and I pushed as far away from her as I could. Like you just kind of swing over, you push, because you don't want to go under your horse. When I landed on my back, and I slid forward, and I hit the top of my head on a tree. And that is what broke my neck. So the break, it was a compression break. And I didn't have a scratch on me. I didn't have a bruise, I didn't have a scratch. I looked exactly the same in ICU as I do now. So, and it was the only bone I broke. I broke 3 bones in my neck, my C1, my C3, and my C5. My injury is C5. Again, I'll get into that in a different video and explain different spinal cord injuries and my injury specifically. Every spine injury is different. I had no idea about any of this stuff until I got hurt. Now I know everything. I feel like I know everything. That was how my accident happened. I tried to get up. Obviously I couldn't. I tried to breathe because I was all jacked up on adrenaline, and I couldn't because you lose all your intercostal muscles, like your breathing. So I was just taking shallow breaths, and I thought, oh God, I punctured a lung. I'm gonna die in this ditch. My friend came running behind and found me. She put my neck into like a C-spine brace and took my helmet off because my helmet was like choking me. And I didn't realize that my fingers were gone when I got hurt, so I kept trying to get my phone out of my pocket, but I just thought I was cold. That was probably the weirdest thing, was my hands being gone. Neither of us had phone. Well, I had a phone, but it had broken in the crash. I don't think she had a cell phone. I think it was at the barn. And at one point, someone drove by us, slowed down, looked at us, and she said, "You gotta help me," and then he sped away. It was the weirdest thing. That was weird. Oh, and I didn't black out. I stayed completely awake, completely aware of everything that was going on. Again, another video, another story, because being awake in ICU is wild. I was intubated too, so I couldn't speak for 11 days because I had a tube down my throat, but I was like aware of everything. We were screaming for help. Finally, a nurse happens to ride her bike by. Who's riding their bike in the freezing cold? But thank God she was there. If you ever watch this, thank you. She called the ambulance, and then she held me in C-spine until the ambulance came. I was immediately taken to the hospital. They did all the x-rays. I live on an island. They did all the x-rays, and then I had to be choppered to Vancouver. They told my husband, he was in the waiting room with an old friend and my 3-year-old. I don't know how long they waited for. I think it was like 4 or 5 hours they waited until they got some information, and so obviously he was terrified because he didn't know if I was dead, or it was a pretty, like, one of the worst case scenarios to have your wife break her neck randomly in the morning. And then I was choppered to Vancouver, where I had my surgery 24 hours later on my birthday. So that was kind of funny. If you can find the humor or irony in things. So yeah, that's the story of how my accident happened. I'm sure I could go in on it for like hours and hours and hours, but that's the condensed version. I'm going to be making another video about my progression because I stayed in the hospital for a year. And in the beginning I had nothing, like I couldn't breathe by myself, I couldn't move my fingers, I didn't have triceps on this arm, so I couldn't go like this, which is a big deal because I couldn't put my hair in a ponytail, or I literally couldn't do anything. I couldn't put my shoes on, I couldn't hold a spoon. They used to like duct tape or tape like my utensils to my hands so I could eat. And now I have a farm and a business, and I still take care of my boys and do it all just in a different way. But in the beginning it was very scary. So I spent a year in the hospital. I recovered enough that I can walk. It's not pretty, so I don't do it often. It's not functional. It's more like a party trick. And again, I'm gonna go into it. I'm gonna show all the videos of from when I first moved my fingers on Christmas to when I moved my toes. Well, I moved my fingers Christmas Eve and I moved my toes Christmas Day. That's my story. That's what happened. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment.